Welcome back to another episode of the Cycle Podcast, the show where we cover 4 trending MLB topics in 20 minutes or less. This is our second talk of the 2025 offseason. We have some free agency news, not a whole ton of noise on the trade front, but we are going to be making some projections for some of those. We're going to talk about our team of the week, the Atlanta Braves, and, of course, get into a little bit of free agency. Quick news. We did get some more commitments to the WBC on the USA side. Will Smith, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Turang, and Gunnar Henderson are all in. So that inks us our backup catcher, our third, fourth outfielder, if you count Mike Trout, though he might not get a ton of playing time, our third baseman and our second baseman, leaving only a hole at first base in our starting lineup. So we're excited for that. Go USA, this World Baseball Classic. I'd love to see us get our championship. With that, let's roll right into the show in 3, 2, 1. Our first topic today is going to be the recent free agent signings between our last show and now. Big trend, a slew of relief pitchers, particularly closers, getting inked to new deals this week. We have Devin Williams going from the New York Yankees to the New York Mets on a 3-year deal. Edwin Diaz going to the Los Angeles Dodgers on a very similar deal to what they're paying Devin Williams in New York. Apparently, the New York Mets offered him a deal, didn't match up with the Dodgers, came about $3 million over 3 years short. Beyond me, what their rationale was there. Ryan Helsley to Baltimore on a 2-year deal with an opt-out after 1. We saw Dylan Cease with a massive free agent deal to Toronto for 7 years, shoring up that rotation that maybe was just that one piece away from taking down the Dodgers this past season. Then position players, the big one, Kyle Schwarber re-signs with Philadelphia, and Cedric Mullins to Tampa Bay on a 1-year deal. I project him kind of moving into his journeyman role here at the tail end of his career. So, Josh, what is your favorite move that we saw?
I think it's the Cease one. I think going over to Toronto, they understand that their window is now, if there is a window per se, because the Dodgers are still in play every year apparently, but and they know that pitching dominates all. So and then really doubling down on Cease at the same time, like, hey, this is not going to be a little tryout thing, see how you fit. No, we're locking you in long term. So I think that speaks volumes on both sides on what they're trying to build there. In Toronto, unfortunately, they're in our division or my division, so I gotta deal with that. But another one that I guess is a signing, but is a re-signing that I'm a fan of is Schwarbs. I feel like this was one that is kind of like him getting ready to coast off into the sunset type deal. I feel like this would probably be, I wish him that he keeps on, playing till he's 100. But, realistically, probably his last big contract that he's going to have in his career. So I'm happy that he got it on his terms, on a good team. He's not like getting shipped off somewhere or whatnot. And trying to like get that last hurrah back in Philly, trying to get the boys back together to see if they can make a push. So I'm happy for him that he finally is getting paid. And every time that there's a WBC year, I always look out for Schwarbs because I feel like he just dominates at the plate on both levels. So he's just very interesting to watch. Another one that real quick, I know I'm probably taking too much time, but Mullins, I'm to kind of flip the switch a little bit. A lot of people were texting me, obviously being a Rays fan. Oh man, you got Cedric Mullins, awesome. It's like, guys, like realistically, like what are we talking about here? Like, what are we going to get out of this? Maybe I would have been happy maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, for sure. When he was in MVP talks and things of that nature. But not to discredit where he's at now. I just feel like he's that typical big name that comes to Tampa towards the end of his career. That's just going to try to get his tax-free money and retire. And listen, I'm not hating on that. I truly am not hating on that. So I don't want the fan base to think like I'm talking shit. It just sucks as a fan, though, that I got to deal with that. Yes, you're a big-time name, but we're just a dollar what is it, dollar late, dollar short, whatever it is.
A day late, a buck short.
Exactly. Whatever. So like, and it's always that. It's always that. So this is not the first time that we've seen this happen, and it's probably not going to be the last. Hopefully with new management, they kind of flip sides here. But overall, I like where the free agency market has been going so far, especially, with the WBC just finishing up or is going to be finishing up this week. So it's very interesting. And I think it's just heating up, if you ask me.
Yeah. My favorite, maybe a weird one, I love Ryan Helsley to Baltimore. And there may be something brewing in Baltimore. Right. We're going to talk later. They are involved in some of the rumors, some of the trade talks to acquire more talent. And I think starting at the back end is the right way to do it. No point in building up your offense, spend a ton of money there if you're not going to be able to shut the game down when it matters. So bring in Ryan Helsley, anchor that bullpen. They have some pieces in that bullpen. I think they were just a shutdown closer away. Of course, they're going to need some work on the starting rotation and probably another bat, which we'll get to here in our second segment. With our next 2-week segment that we're off from the podcast being a one where I think there's going to be a lot of dominoes fall. Of course, we are going to have an episode 2 weeks from now to talk that. I just want to get into some of the rumors and give you viewers a preview of what could happen in the coming week or so. Pete Alonso has met with the Red Sox. From all accounts, there is a framework for a deal in place. I would not be surprised if by the end of the week he is there, though the Orioles are expected to make a push, going back to what we were just talking about with them making some moves. We have the Cubs meeting with Alex Bregman after taking almost no real shots at Kyle Tucker.
Right.
The Blue Jays, who were in on likely Devin Williams, definitely Edwin Diaz, are shifting their gears. We're starting to see reports about them going after Robert Suarez and then possibly Pete Fairbanks in the setup role or as an insurance option if they're not able to lock down Suarez. We have Framber Valdez meeting with the Giants, the Orioles, and the Mets. So I said in the last topic, they're trying to address all three of their big needs. Here's an interesting one. And hold on to your hats or whatever you need to hold on to, because this may knock you on your butt. The Pirates are active in free agency talks, looking to sign long-term deals with big-name players. This is something I never thought I would talk about on this show.
No way.
They offered Kyle Schwarber 4 years, $125 million. He decided to stay at home in Philly. My thought is maybe that is pretty close proximity. If they could just bait him a few miles over to Pittsburgh. Now with that out, I would expect more free agents to pick up the phone when Pittsburgh calls. They say, okay, they did offer some money. They have shifted their sights to Jorge Polanco to shore up the middle infield. So with all of that said, Josh, of the names I just threw out, let me know if you need me to run through them one more time.
No.
What would be the biggest signing of those if it were to come to fruition?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to stick with my guns and say the Pete Alonso hiring. I think that when you look where he's at in his career as well, you got to look that, he's still, probably still in his prime, but probably towards the tail end. He's not, so much at the tail end of his career per se, but as far as that sweet spot, he's towards the tail end on that. So, and the Red Sox are going to be pushing, they spend the money and stuff like that. I would like to throw out something though. Why not the Rays try to make a little push for him? I understand that the money is going to be substantial. We got new leadership. We got new management. The guy's from Tampa. We're probably going to get rid of Diaz. We never really had like a solidified. I mean, Aranda was there last year, had a decent season at first, but is he really a first baseman? So I feel like, that's a big name to watch. Another one real quick, because it was like a 1A, 1B, is the Valdez situation. I mean, like you mentioned, he is now the number one pitcher in the market. And I find it very, very interesting that the Giants always have their names somewhat and enter in or around those type of players that could, make an impact on day one. And that's something to look out for. I think that when you mentioned the Orioles and stuff like that, I think that's a little bit too close for home there. I think that the Giants, they always bring their checkbook out when they want somebody. So that's an interesting name to look out for, though. Can I throw another one? I think you mentioned Ketel Marte as well, right? Or no?
Nope. Next segment.
Sorry.
No, that is exciting because that is heating up too.
Sorry, I'm just kidding. I was ready to go on that too, so I'll wait till the next one.
I would have to agree, though. I am really excited to see what the Blue Jays do because they've already filled the one massive hole. I think they could jump into possible World Series favorites with a major bullpen signing. I don't think they're out on some of the big name bats either. And I think that is a big splash signing. Yeah. Going after Cease, going after Suarez. Now you're telling all the bats on the market, hey, we're trying to build something here that'll last the next few years. Come join us, get yourself a ring, take down the Dodgers. I'd say that's a pretty darn good pitch as they go deeper into free agency, trying to pick up a few complementary pieces, some veteran bullpen presence.
Think about the pitch too when you're trying to pitch the protection in the lineup that you have. Mm-hmm. You're not just coming in being the man in the lineup. You're coming in and you can be free and do what you want because you got a few guys, behind you and or in front of you that's going to take care of you. So that's a great pitch and great point by you.
I appreciate you. Let's move on to what you are dying to talk about, and that is the trade rumor mill. Third topic today, as we mentioned, is the trade rumor mill, and it is hot. There are some big names in trade talks. Obviously, the winter meetings are underway, which means you've got a bunch of GMs wheeling and dealing, probably knocking back a few cocktails, starting to talk a little crazy. So you never know. Right. Let's just go right into the biggest one. Ketel Marte is more than in talks. There are absolutely deals being worked out. Once again, the Red Sox have reported they have a framework of a deal. I would guess the Mariners will be in on Ketel Marte. He's familiar, started his career there, and they have the most top 100 prospects in the MLB. Plus, they are deep in starting pitching, which Arizona needs. The other team that was a shocker is your Tampa Bay Rays.
Let's go.
Real quick before I turn it over to you, we also have Jarren Duran and CJ Abrams to talk. I think it would require, based on my research, a full-fledged major league talent. Doesn't have to be a superstar, has to be a legitimate major league baseball player. I would also guess it will take 2 to 3 top prospects. So in terms of the Red Sox, I think they would have to be willing to cut ties with Peyton Toll, Marcelo Meyer, and either a major league arm or possibly Jarren Duran. What do you think the Rays could realistically offer? The Red Sox do need a first baseman.
Well, yeah, obviously you're talking about Yandy Diaz in there, even Aranda with the bat, but I don't think we have enough to compete with these guys. That's the reason why we are the market that we are in. We can't compete with these guys. Hey, we got a Snickers and we got a Gatorade. They're gonna give you a Subway sandwich with a Baja Blast. Like, what do you want? Like, this is the difference that we're talking about here. I think though it's gonna come down to chemistry. I think that player involvement is going to be the biggest pitch in this. And I think you briefly touched on it when you talked about familiarity with Seattle. And I think that's where he's at in his career as well. I think he wants just comfortability, all that
and
stuff.
He wants to freaking win.
That's the thing. So I I think the Mariners do make a decent play at them. I'm excited that the Rays are in the mix. And by the way, before we continue, you imagine being like a caddy or like a bartender at the golf course clubhouse or something during these winter meetings? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Just like listening to these
I would have my
conversations.
Oakley glasses on. I'd
Oh,
be filming,
absolutely. By the way,
even if I
we should
lose
do
my
that
job.
next year. Maybe we should look into
Let
that
me
next year.
let me pitch you something.
Yes.
Arizona asks for Diaz,
Send
and
them.
then they want 2 of
Okay.
Carson Williams, Brody Hopkins, Xavier Isaac. 2 of
Xavier,
them.
Xavier Isaac.
Xavier Isaac, Brody Hopkins, Carson Williams.
I'm keeping Carson Williams. He is our future shortstop. He has solidified himself there. He's done his time down low. I want to say he was minor league player of the year. He's a 5-tool player. Like, he gives me, and I say this with great respect, and he is nowhere near him now, but the potential and the trajectory of what I see he can be is the shortstop for this team right here. He's very similar to his attributes and the way he makes plays. So look out for him. You can have Isaac, you can have whoever else. I want to keep Carson, especially what happened with us with the guy from the Dominican Republic. I'm not going to give him his name on our show, but you know what I mean? I want to
move on, turn the page.
Correct. And yes, we got Junior. Yes, we got Carinero, but he is the right person for that job at that position at the right time.
Now, let me real quick. We may go over a little bit on this one. Jarren Duran. I've heard Royals, Brewers, Mets, they're interested in a starting pitcher. They are willing to go 1-for-1. So we're talking the Royals, possibly a Cole Reagans, though we said we're not doing that. A Noah Cameron, Chris Bubich type. They are interested in Freddie Peralta from the Brewers. They want to put together a beast of a starting rotation.
Right.
And then the Mets, though, not much in terms of high quality starting pitching to give up. No. And then CJ Abrams. Projected possibly to move to second base. He is a bad defensive shortstop, but has the speed and the bat to make up for it at this point. Sounds like the Cubs, Rays, Braves are all in on that one.
Yeah.
But with us being out of time, if either of those trades happen, we'll talk about that on our next episode. Let's move on to our team of the week. Our final topic today is going to be the Atlanta Braves. And while it may seem weird for a Rays fan and a Royals fan to be talking a National League team that has been somewhat inconsequential over the past 2 years, I am just obsessed with the dynasty that never was. In 2001, we win the World Series, and you look at that roster and you say, oh shit, this is going to be the next 5 to 10 years. Since then, they have parted ways. Putting it nicely, some of these were just complete buffoonery moves with Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, Wilson Contreras, and Max Fried. And a lot of guys that you say were heart and soul of the team type of guys. William Contreras had the potential to be the catcher of the future. Obviously, they have Drake Baldwin now, but he certainly could have bridged the gap a bit. Last year, they missed the playoffs. They were below 500, and we're looking at a team that if the injury bug were to bite them again with a lot of their injury-prone players, we're talking about another year in third or fourth place in the division and seeing some of their talent start to age, like Matt Olson, who's been their best player over the past few seasons. Big rumors coming from Buster Olney, speaking with Braves personnel. Pitching is the message he delivered. Now, we've heard them linked to Framber Valdez. However, Valdez has not arranged a meeting with them. And right now is the time that players are having these meetings. So while they did re-sign Raisel Iglesias, congratulations. I think they're personally, I think they're a lot further from contending than they are from being bad. Josh, I'm going to give you a multiple choice question. Fill in the blank. The Braves are A, good to go. They'll bounce back. Those injuries, they're in the past.
Yeah.
Option B, they are, don't answer yet. Option B, they are a few pieces away. Maybe a third starter,
Okay.
a utility bat.
Okay.
Or C, they are a big piece, a Kyle Tucker, a Cody Bellinger away from even being in contending talks. Now you can answer.
Which one was the one that there are a few pieces away? Was that B?
B.
Yeah. I always pick B. No, but for real though, I think this is the right answer. For a few things, I think that they kind of proved it, and you mentioned it again, which you're doing great, which you always do. But you're taking my points away, which I love. You lose a Freddie Freeman. How do you replace a Freddie Freeman? You really can't. The guy's an animal. The guy's a stud. He's a true specimen of a first baseman. But you bring in a Matt Olson, who you said is probably their best player, which probably it is. But yes, it's a big drop, or not. It's a drop, but not a dramatic drop, right? So position players can not. I don't want to say can be easily replaced, but if you can put them in pieces and make them work analytically at the same time, you can get away with it. I think that what they really need, or what they really hurt themselves on last year, which was, I mean, other than the injuries, was very apparent, was the whole Max Fried deal, or losing him out in Max Fried. That was a big hole. And I know they had the injuries as well in their bullpen and on their pitching staff. But when you had an anchor such as Fried, lead that organization and that staff, the way he did, Cy Young talks, the whole nine, and wasn't able to fulfill that hole with not even the right pieces. Then you throw in the injuries. I get all that. But if you can get some pieces to kind of keep you afloat, if you take a look at the Yankees last year when, Aaron Judge went down for a little bit, you had a couple of, role players that came up to the plate and was keeping the Yankees afloat. That's what I mean by they're right there, because once they're, they're, obviously, I hope that all the injuries come back to play. But once the pieces comes together, they got a very dynamic team. Another thing that I like about them too is that their chemistry is something that is not forced. These guys have been playing with each other for a little bit. They've been through the ups, they've been through the downs, and they know how to fix or fit the mold that they're trying to build there. They're a championship winning organization. They've won championships as of late, so they're not new to this. They just need to find and get back to what got them there, and pitching, like you said, Buster said, is the end all be all when it comes down to any organization. Pitching is the key to success.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at, could Spencer Strider come back and be healthy for a full season? Could Spencer Schwellenbach come back and be healthy for a full season? They have those pieces. I think it would take a Framber Valdez type of guy, though. Another name I want to throw out there, we already talked about, they are, in talks in regards to CJ Abrams. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy like Mackenzie Gore from Washington, who probably played a little bit above himself last season, but if he regresses to the mean, he's still a very valuable piece in a pitching staff, and a guy who could swing them in the right direction. Like you said, in addition to maybe a utility bat or two, maybe a depth outfielder who they feel confident stepping in. Right. If a guy like Acuna goes down again, like you said, you can't fill that hole necessarily, but a guy that could hold his own out there would be a major key. Then can Profar come back and be healthy for an extended period of time? Missed a lot of time with the suspension last year.
I was going to say, can you say trouble?
Yeah. Can he don't do steroids, Jerks and Profar. However, it also comes down to Austin Riley, because that was a guy who you said he should be able to carry the organization for the next 4 to 5 seasons as in his prime, as an MVP candidate. Right. Had a great year. I believe it was 22-23, and then injuries and inefficiency bit him 24-25. So a lot of keys there. a lot could go wrong. If a few things go right, we could see them trending back in the right direction. And with that, let's take us out. Josh, thank you so much for being here. I forgot to introduce you in the intro. This is Josh, a.k.a. Kablumski, high school coach, future coach of a developmental team in Puerto Rico. Big things happening for Josh. Congratulations once again. I'm sorry I got on a roll and forgot to introduce you. You can take us home.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. No, when you talk about, you mentioned Puerto Rico, let's talk about, wrap it up. I think you did at the beginning. WBC, I just want to point out a few notable signees for Puerto Rico. You got Arenado. I just want to tell you, welcome to Puerto Rico. And then you got Springer. Welcome to Puerto Rico. And then you got Riley Green. Welcome to Puerto Rico. Those are just three names that it's unusual to see attached to the Puerto Rican name. So, great show. I thank you for having me. I'm excited for this off season, and thank you for the shout outs for my recent achievements as well.
Very welcome. That'll take us home. We will see you once again in 2 weeks, talking more news, trades, free agency, signings, whatever it is. We'll be there. See you next time.
Deuces.